Welcome to Traumedy. I'm your host, Nancy Norton. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm also a registered nurse, and I'm studying therapeutic humor and give keynote presentations about the power of humor, why we need it, how it helps us get through the worst times, all the benefits of humor. There are so many, too many to mention right now, but just know it does save lives. Are you going through hell? Don't get stuck. Have your feelings, get a good trauma therapist, and Traumedy is here to help you out between sessions. Let's do this together. It's peer-to-peer learning and sharing. Every episode, I learn a little something. Thank you for your support of the podcast, emotionally, financially, in any way that you feel like supporting this podcast. I really love that we're getting the word out there and helping people shift from the heaviness of trauma into the lightness of humor. This week's episode deals with the trauma of divorce and the trauma of getting a severe case of COVID and having a near-death experience. Welcome to Traumedy with John Olson, comedian and somebody who has heard Traumedy and related to one of the other stories. As what my understanding is that how you came to share your story with me today?
Yeah, it was Mo Alexander's story, kind of similar in a way. I mean, at least part of it.
Why don't you just jump in here and tell me what went on with you? We'll get to the part where how humor maybe helped you and how you maybe helped write material about it.
Yeah, I had been doing comedy for a while, kind of in and out since 1998, 97 actually. I got married. I had kids, a child in 1999, and then just kind of did what my regular thing was. I was a restaurant general manager for Kentucky Fried Chicken for years. 2011, my father passed away from cancer, and I decided I was gonna then follow my dreams and jump back into comedy, and that's when I really went headfirst into it.
I have one child, and it was when he was 11 or 12 years old when they have a sense of themselves, and in fact, they want you out of the house. I found, for me anyway, I went back into stand-up. I took a break after adopting my son in 2004, or 2005, he came home. And 2016, I went back into it again. So I get it, man. So 2011, big life change. First of all, your dad passed. Maybe that gave you that really big message that life is short. What do I really want to do? And also your son's old enough now that, hey, he can get a job.
Yeah, getting there. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I mean, that would be a dream come true. Get a job, 12 years old. Fend for yourself. Okay, I got to stop laughing at myself. I was just...
No, you're good.
I think it's the stress of parenting that it would be great. It's horrible. That's child labor laws. Forget I said that.
Well, it's only child labor laws if it's not your own kid.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make your own kid work?
Well, for yourself. Like, if I wanted to have my child work for John Olson Comedy and do all the grunt work of I don't know what.
Social media. Get these kids to work for us on Snapchat. Come on.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
And you can have them do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's nothing anybody can say about it.
Wow, I didn't know that. Now, man, you're giving me ideas.
Yeah,
although my son's 18. My son's 18 now, and your son is obviously 23 or 4 by now.
Yep.
So tell me more. So your dad passed. I mean, that's a big rite of passage. Life is never the same after. It's like,
right.
It's the end of an era. It's the end of an era when a parent passes, I think.
Pretty much, yeah. And I never really grieved it, right?
Oh, you did not? You didn't grieve your dad's passing?
No, not really. No. I don't know. I just remember, like, he died on the 23rd of June. On the 24th, I was at work, and everybody's like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "It's okay, like everything's fine." I think I was just kind of like running from it, hiding it. You know what I mean?
Sure, and that's
Um,
not unusual. That's part of the grieving process is avoiding it. Denial is like isn't that a stage of grief
yep,
kind of?
yep. Well, the thing, like I said, I dove right back into doing comedy, and me and the ex-wife's well, we're getting to that, but anyway, me and the ex-wife's relationship at that time was pretty good.
That was your current wife at the time in 2011?
Yep, yep,
Yeah, so your wife
uh,
were you and your wife were getting along pretty well
yep.
and you went back into comedy and maybe that was a part of you coping with the grief too is just use, let focus on something that you it's like rock climbing, I think. Comedy you have to be present when you're doing it.
It's true, and I had a lot of irons in the fire. Like I was doing comedy, and then at the same time, like that year, I basically started 501c3 to help other families with cancer treatments and stuff like that.
You put that grief into purpose to help
Yeah,
others. Wow, that's beautiful, John.
thank you. It was something I was trying to do, thinking of him, because like the resources and everything that he had weren't really readily available, and me and my mom and my dad just kind of like went along and did the treatments and whatever they could, and you know, but the organization that I started was called Cancer Sucks Comedy Rocks. And what we did was every year in the fall, we would have a comedy show fundraiser. We raised upwards to like 80 some $1,000 for people overall to help
Oh,
out. Yeah. So it was,
congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really, really cool, I thought, thing that we did.
And a lot of
And
people benefited from it.
yeah, and I had a lot of people to help me out with this, and I'll never be able to thank them enough for their time and everything else. But
But maybe like you, they just wanted to be of service. And
yeah,
it's enough to know that there were people that got services that they needed. What did you provide? The money for respite care or
that
transportation
was
to treatments or what was it?
it you know at first it was kind of like there was several different things that we did. We provided money for so people can get screenings done and everything else, like preventative. But then also ended up providing, the money for basically whatever they wanted to do. It didn't matter. I like
At
it
their
was for the family and whatever they needed to. If it was groceries, if it was medical bills, if it was, I hate to say this, but if it was their last vacation, it didn't matter. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
their discernment, whatever they needed, just great.
you know, had that in the fire. Was doing comedy, was working full time, um, and then something had to give. And at that time, my ego was such that I was like, okay, I'm just going to give comedy all, and it just didn't work out. I ended up leaving KFC. That was in 2014. Ended up leaving KFC to do comedy full time, and it didn't work out for me. So I ended up actually being a car salesman, and I was okay at it. I didn't like it, and then basically I went back to KFC.
Can I? Can,
Used it for
oh, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. That was rude.
no, it's okay.
I
Used it
think I'm
for
a little bit
basically.
hungry, so
Oh, you're
well, every
okay.
time you say KFC, I eat mostly plants, but can I just tell you, KFC, I don't know why this is my thing, but I go to KFC, I get mashed potatoes and coleslaw, and it is one of my favorite comfort foods ever. Is just mixing KFC mashed potatoes and coleslaw. I just wanted to share that with you because every time you say it, I'm going, ooh, I want some mashed potatoes and coleslaw. Okay,
I
I
mean,
got that out of my system. Now I won't interrupt you about that
no,
again.
you're okay. The KFC. I mean, potatoes and gravy coleslaw are kind of their staples. It should be the chicken, but it's not. It's the potatoes and gravy coleslaw. But
Hey, and you know what? They have a vegetarian thing now because I like the crunchies. It's always like, I always like, this is, as a kid even, I only wanted to eat chicken. This is gross. I'm going to say it. I only wanted to eat the chicken skin.
okay.
I like the crispy crunchies. And I don't do the gravy on the potatoes because now mostly I eat, like I said, I try not to eat animal stuff. But they do have a vegetarian thing now. I got to try it. I don't think I've had the vegetarian offering from KFC. Okay, sorry. Go ahead now.
So, I went back to KFC. I kind of made less money, but I did less hours, and it was for comedy. And I did that for a couple years. Well, anyway, like, to make a long story short, basically all that led to some resentment, I believe, from my ex-wife, and
Sure. Yeah.
and that's where the heart broke, and the mind went bye-bye. I remember I was at work when she called me. I remember the words that she said to me. She's like, we were so young, and I just knew at that point, like, things were not good. So
because she was speaking in past tense about you guys.
yeah, we were so young, meaning, like, she was like, she was done. And it kind of, that's where things went really kind of bad for me.
Were you blindsided? Were you just completely shocked? You're at work and she calls you at work. Why not say this in person?
I don't know.
Or maybe maybe she needed the courage. Like, she didn't think she could face you and say it. I don't need to do her work for her, but I'm trying to imagine a marriage. Although, you and I have a lot in common that way. How old were you when you got married?
I was 19 or 20.
Yep, I was too. I was 20.
Yeah.
And I just saw my ex-husband on a visit recently. We were so young, and we really were. We did help each other grow up a little bit because we put each other through college. But then it really was when I started stand-up that we drifted apart. So you're following your dream, and
like, I think we tried to make it work, and it just didn't. And it went to hell in a handbasket from there. I was out of the house. I have two younger children too, that we had together.
Oh, that's rough. That's so rough. Sorry.
Yeah, it definitely kind of sucked. I didn't really have anywhere to go. I did end up getting an apartment, but very briefly. Turns out, finances and everything else weren't going to work out, and I ended up basically homeless. I was sleeping in my car.
Oh man.
There was times where I did stay with my mother, who still lives in town there. I did that for a while. At that time, I did end up walking away from comedy again. I didn't feel very funny. I didn't feel my life was very funny.
Yeah. When you lose your home, this is where it is hard to find the funny. When when your basic needs are not met, that is super, like, you're in it.
Yeah, it got kind of rough there. Well, I mean, obviously it got really rough. I remember when I walked away from comedy, like, when everything first started going down, I was still performing, and but I didn't want to perform as John Olson. Like, I didn't feel John Olson could still perform. I went by a stage name for very briefly before I walked away.
I'm curious about that because I've often thought about using a stage name, or I look at biopics of famous people, and many of them have changed their names, and I kind of wonder to myself, like, I wonder if that helps them fly a little higher because they don't have all this shame from, I mean, I'm going to go with myself here. I have a lot of shame from early childhood, and it's like, Nancy Norton can't say these things. My mother told me, you can't say those things. And So sometimes I wish I had a different, my persona is definitely amped up on stage. It's a part of me, but I do wonder. I kind of wish I had taken on a stage name a long time ago. So that was transient for you. That was only just for a little while.
It was just, yeah, it was very brief. My last performance, I was actually kind of in a contest. I was up on stage and I was going through, my act, and I got to a part that usually was about my my then wife. I got to that part and I just froze. I
Mm,
just like I couldn't, like, I just couldn't do it. And I did something that I never thought I'd ever do. I just walked off the stage. And when I walked off the stage, I was leaving everything there. Like, everything was done.
wow.
Like, in my mindset at that point was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And um but it just went to show, like, with everything that was going on, like I said, I was heartbroken. I was never diagnosed, but I feel I had a nervous breakdown. I
Yeah.
was diagnosed with post traumatic stress disorder through my therapist,
Yeah.
and I seen, like, I was a completely different person. Like, the John Olson that uh, basically left that house in, like, June of 2018 no longer existed to me. The problem is that, like, I still had all his memories. I still had all his pain. I still had all that stuff. And so I was carrying that stuff with me. I was still going to work, um, and just I was trying to actually move forward with my life and everything else. And um,
You know what comes to my mind when you and I just pause for just a second. And I'm going to just take a deep breath because I feel I'm also, like I say, I've had a devastating breakup where to me it was like the dominoes. I said the dominoes just fell in my reality, like, and
yep,
I didn't know what was real, what was up, what was down, who I was, who I'd been. And just take a deep breath to reconnect with ourselves here. I often teach people to do vasovagal, like, kind of resets, and I'm just doing it for myself right now, just kind of, ooh, because I was thinking about PTSD, when they first figured out back in the day in World War II, I think it was, might have been World War One, they talked about shell shocked. And
yep,
I think about you going to work, because this is the way I felt, and I want to know if you felt the same way, like a shell of a person, like a
yep,
shell, you don't even know who you are inside. You go through the motions. You're like craving to remember the feeling of joy, the feeling of simple pleasures. Like almost feel like I want to cry. Like I feel your heartbreak because I've had a similar heartbreak. And it's so sad when you've
yeah,
invested fully in your life and you think this is reliable. It's just devastating. Yeah, I gotta have a little tear. Because
I'm sorry.
no, don't be sorry. I am not afraid of feelings. I like to just let them move, and I like to tell people what's going on so they don't wonder what's going on over
Yeah,
there. I have tissues. all is well. I My feelings are pretty immediate, and as you were talking, I just kept feeling this pain in my heart. It's just a pain in my, it's just a feeling in my body. I'm just empathizing. I mean, I had custody of my son, and I was homeless, but I had a friend that took us in, so it wasn't like I was living on the streets or, but still, I had the same feeling. I had to go to work. I had to go make some money, and I just walked. I just and I did not know who I was anymore. And I couldn't find the joy of a mountain bike ride or a
yep,
flower or look at a flower. And I'm like, but wait, that used to spark something in me. That used to, yeah, I feel like I want to cry.
yeah,
It used to feel beautiful or smell it. I hate to be cliche, but just smelling the roses, like I couldn't, I couldn't feel, and I had this beautiful child. And I will say this, he helped me, just taking care of him, helped me ground and make a meal and give him a bath, put him in his onesie, put him to bed, rub his back, tell him a story, sing his song, those kind of things. I still felt like a little bit of a shell of a person doing it, but he could help me connect with my heart and know myself. And so anyway, again, this is where on the podcast I feel like sometimes I overshare. I don't want to make it about me, but I just want you to
No,
know that you're not alone. So there you are. You're going to work. That's why I was thinking about shell shocked and feeling like a shell of a person. I don't know. I never put those together until I was just listening to you going, oh, PTSD, shell shocked.
yep,
And then not, who am I?
yeah,
Woo. Okay. So
yep.
or are you divorced yet? Or are you in the
Um,
process?
I was in the process of being divorced at that time. Yeah. Um,
And that doesn't help you with custody when you don't have a job that pays, like you don't have a home, you don't have a place
I
the
was
kids
seeing,
can come.
she was pretty good, man. She like, you know, kind of getting on track of how it was going to be. I was seeing him every other weekend. I could at that time I was living in town there, so I could see him basically whenever I wanted to. I was taking him to school. Like I still loved her deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's her seeing other people was not good for me.
Yeah.
Even though I tried to see other people, like I said, hurt begets hurt. And I ended up hurting a lot of people in this. I really did, and I know I did. And you know, I can't, I can't take it back. I wish I could. And I became a very bitter person. I became very kind of maybe spiteful in some ways. I thought I had to be. I thought I had to be kind of a monster in order to get rid of all the pain that I was feeling, and felt like maybe if I pushed everybody else away from me, had that monster mentality that whatever was hurting me at the time, I would scare that away too. It's a very
Yeah. I am
childish way in
I
a way to think, but
I think there's a craving for things to be equal too. I don't know how that
yep,
all plays out, but that may be under the category of misery loves company, but I feel it just like things need to be fair. And I think kids, and I do think that is one of the things I can see as an adult child, that it should be fair, and even though your mom said life's not going to be fair, there's a part of us that wants to make it fair.
yeah, and that's honest, and like I still to that this point, to this day, will say, like, like if somebody isn't as hurt as what I was, or somebody doesn't have to go through the pain and agony that I do, like, that ain't right. Like, why do I have to do that garbage? It took a lot to get through that mentality, and a lot of it had to do with completely and utterly switching locations of where I was, and I did that. I got offered a position again with KFC as an actual manager of a store in Owatonna, Minnesota. Again, still not doing comedy or whatever else, but at the same time, my divorce was finalized at that point. I got my kids every other weekend, and I made that 4.5 hour drive, and I still do.
But this was your
You know,
way of, because you still loved your wife so much, and you need, get out of those environments where you're just getting triggered constantly of, we used to go there and we used to do this, and
yep,
that's my
yep,
favorite place, that, or my friend or my buddy, or common friends and all that. Get away from all those associations.
I did. And you know what? Honestly, I always, I joke about it. And, the town, the city where I'm from is Sioux City, Iowa, and it's a fairly large town, almost 100,000 people. And it just wasn't big enough for the both of us. So,
I understand. I do.
so
Yeah.
I moved to Owatonna, and I started doing the KFC thing again, and I started seeing other women, and completely and utterly not fulfilling any part of my life, to be honest with you. Um, it wasn't fun. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was going to the bar. I was just not having a good time. And then, just by happenstance, I met who I now know is absolutely the love of my life. Um,
Oh, I'm so
and
happy. I'm so happy for you.
thank you. She's incredible. She's taught me a lot about feelings. She's taught me a lot about how to handle my anger. Yeah, and she is credited with saving my life, and not only my life as you know, um, with the whole like, oh, you saved my life, because I was going downhill. I'd been going downhill for a long, long time. She saved my life both metaphorically and legitimately, and this is why. On I got COVID. Coincidentally, she also had COVID. We were quarantined separately. She was in uh, another town at her mother's place. I am in my apartment. Um, she was taking care of me essentially through like DoorDash and stuff like that, like getting things delivered to me and whatnot.
Oh,
I was so
even when she was ill,
Yep.
was she not as ill as you? Were you,
Um, turns out no.
yeah. So you were
I,
like
I,
you were laid out. You
yeah, I didn't know how bad I actually was. I remember it hitting me like a ton of bricks. I was actually one day into my new job. One day in. It was my first day. I went out to the car, started it, and it just hit me. And I was on the phone with her, and I said, "Hey, babe, listen, there's something not right. I don't feel good." And my dumb ass, I went to I went to Walmart, and I walked in there and got some uh, like NyQuil or something. I don't even know what it was. Here I am spreading this crap everywhere. Like I feel bad about it now. Like looking back, I didn't know at that time.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, you're just trying to get a cold flu remedy or something.
yep. And then I go to QuikTrip. There's a cheap pop for them right there. Little plug.
Yeah,
Best
we're
gas
plugging
station
everybody.
on the planet.
KFC, Walmart, NyQuil. Give us, come on. Somebody wants to be our
Yeah.
sponsor, right?
Maybe we have QuikTrip be my sponsor. I go there every damn day. They love this. But anyway, so I walked in the QuikTrip, and I got a couple big old things of chicken noodle soup or whatever, and I went back to the hotel because I was off training, in a different town. I went back to the hotel the next day. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't. It was bad. But I went in. I went into work, and I said, "Listen, I'll do what I can, but I am. Oh my god!" So I learned how to order or whatever else and whatnot. And then I was like, "I gotta go back." I went back to the hotel. I knew that the guy that was training me was going to be off the next day, so that was a Wednesday. So that Wednesday, I called and I was like, "Hey, listen, like I'm just gonna try to see if I can get this under control, and I'll be in there tomorrow." And they're like, "Yeah, that's fine." So, well, tomorrow came, and I got up, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't know what I could do, but I'll be in there. Just give me a minute." And so I went in, and as I walked in, I was wearing a mask and everything else, but because it was still mandated, and at that point, so I'm wearing a mask or whatever, and I go in, and the guy looked at me and he goes, "Whoa, hey, dude, no, you can't be here." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh, you look like garbage." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So they took my temperature and everything. It was still normal, but I felt like garbage. So I left and I drove an hour and 20 some minutes. And I got home, and all I wanted to do was go to bed. And I crawled into bed, and I had a thermometer. So I thought, and at that point, I felt like I was burning up. I took my temperature, and it was 105.2.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
I,
man.
yeah, it was extremely high. And I'm like, oh, and I remember I kind of I posted on Facebook. I was like, I'm a little sick. And people were like, dude, you need to go to the hospital. And
Yeah.
me, I'm like, and me at that point, I'm like, whatever.
Oh.
I'll be okay. And it did drop, but that was just the start of the nightmare. That was Thursday. So every day I'm getting sicker and sicker and sicker. All the flu symptoms that I'm not going to go into it, but let's just say it wasn't pretty.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I think people can
yeah.
imagine. Yes.
And so Thanksgiving Day, I talked to her and
Your girlfriend?
yes.
Okay.
And I said, I'm like, I don't know, babe. I don't know what to do. She goes, do we need to get you to the hospital? And I said, I don't know. I can't breathe. Well, anyway, she came down because she was feeling better or whatever else. She came down, and I remember her walking in to my bedroom because I was laying in the bed. She walked into the bedroom and she put her hand over her mouth.
Because you look so,
And
so sick.
yeah, she said I was gray. Things just weren't good. So we called 911. Paramedics came and they knew to put oxygen on me right away. And my oxygen level at that time was 41.
Oh no.
41. Turns out they told me I wouldn't have made it the night.
No, you
I,
would not.
I would have been gone the next day, and I know why now. But anyway, so they put some high flow oxygen on me, got me out, got me to the hospital. I was laying in bed there. I took a couple pictures of myself, sent them to her. I'm like, I'm here. They're waiting for a room or whatever else. And I remember there's things I don't remember, and there's things I do. I remember the gentleman walked into the doctor walked into the room. And he goes, "You can't be here. We got to find you another bed somewhere else." And I said, "Well, where am I going?" And he goes, "I don't know." So I'm like, "I don't know, man. Just give me a bed. I don't care where it's at. Just, like I just want to feel better."
I wonder why he
And
said you can't be there.
because I was too sick.
You're too sick for that hospital that hospital
Yeah, yeah,
didn't
yep,
have an ICU bed or didn't
yep,
have
yep, yep.
okay.
And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I was there. Okay, like you know what I mean. Like I just didn't know that. I
Well,
was
yeah, when you're
that
in your 40s, you don't think you're going to die
right.
from a virus like that.
Yep.
So you're in
Um.
yeah, you're so but then what? So they got what happened? They got you to another
So
hospital?
well, there's the thing. I went out and black. I don't remember. I
Oh.
woke I woke up and I was in a helicopter.
Oh,
And
wow. So you went
and
unconscious.
yep.
Or
And I was in a helicopter and the lady was I remember looking at her. So I came to and the lady was pumping oxygen into my mouth. Like with a bag.
like with an ambu, like a mask on your face and squeezing
Yep.
a bag?
Yep. Yep.
Like
Yep.
doing artificial respirations.
Essentially, yeah. Because apparently I had just like I was going into respiratory failure. I didn't know this. Obviously, right? I don't know.
So she's forcing the air. She's probably got
Yeah. She's
major
forcing air into my lungs.
and
So
oxygen. Yeah.
I remember looking around, and this is so funny. This is why I know like QuikTrip has got to be like they have to hear this at some point, and they're gonna have to make me a spokesperson or something.
I'm
I
so curious
remember
to hear this. Okay.
I remember flying. We were flying, and I remember looking over to my left, and I remember the lights, and I remember saying into the mask, which was to this woman, "That's QuikTrip." So where it was they were flying me to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. That QuikTrip is in Casson, Minnesota. Okay, which is right. Like it's on the way there. But I remember looking over there and I go, "That's QuikTrip." And then I went out again. At that point I went out, and then I woke up and I was on the roof because it was really cold. They were pulling me out
Is this
of the
Thanksgiving
helicopter.
Day? Thanksgiving Day?
Yep, this Thanksgiving Day.
And you're on the roof of the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. It's in Rochester, Minnesota.
Rochester, Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
Well, at least you went to the
so
best of the best places.
and that's what that's the one thing that kind of kept me going. to be honest, because I knew I was in the best of the best. So I remember they pulled me out, and there's a bunch of people, and I remember like there's a lot of chattering. I remember looking at the nurse. She had a mask on and everything else, but I remember looking up at her and I go, "Ooh, whoever they're talking about is in trouble." And she goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's you.
he's in. Yep." They're like, he's in trouble, but we're gonna make him better." I
Uh-huh.
said, "Okay," and I said, "Okay." Well, then I went out again,
Wow.
and then I came to. Now the people, you know, whatever people can say whatever they want, and this is fine. But I remember this specifically. I came to, and I looked around, and there's a bunch of people wearing, I call them hazmat suits, but I mean, they were in full gear, right?
Yeah, they're in their
And I
COVID.
said,
They're in their COVID
yep,
protection. Yeah, their
yep.
PPE. Mm-hmm.
So everybody's in all this stuff, and I closed my eyes again, and I opened them again, and there was a gentleman who had a hold of my right hand. And I turned my head and looked at him, and he was not in PPE. He
Mm.
was not. I remember him very specifically. He was a younger guy, youngish guy, probably 30s or whatever else. Little good looking man. I'm gonna be honest, I'm you know, whatever. I'm
You're not
um
gay, but he was
I'm not
attractive.
gay. I'm strong
But
enough
if
in my
I was,
sexuality. But if I was that guy, you know,
yeah,
he grabbed my hand. He had a hold of my hand. And he goes, "John, hey, I don't have much time, but I'm going to tell you, if you do not start breathing right, they're going to intubate you. And if they intubate you, you're going to die." And I go, and I just looked at it, I said, "Okay." And that was it. And I went out again, and I came back up, and I had high flow oxygen on me, but it was a mask and everything else. And I looked around and everything, and you know the nurses were talking, everything else, and um, that's when I came to. And when I came to, I was kind of agitated. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was sore. I didn't know why. Things were whatever, but I was. That's where um I was lucid at that time, right? I knew I knew what was happening. Things were, you know, whatever. I was asking questions. You know, like, what's going on? They're like, "You're in the ICU. You're going to be here for a while, buddy. Your oxygen level is, you know, we got to maintain it. It's got to go up. You got to keep it above 75, or I think it was 85 or something like that. Otherwise, we're going to put you on an intubator, you know, put you on a
ventilator.
respirator."
Yeah.
And I said, I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Where am I at?" And they're like, "Right now you're holding steady at 88 or something." And I said, "Okay." And that's with high flow oxygen, with a lot of like 7 or 8 liters or something, like really high flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was, you know, like things, you know, they weren't real open with me with everything. The most surreal thing was seeing, this is so sad. The most surreal thing was seeing the funeral homes coming and collecting the bodies.
Oh my God. You're there
Uh,
in that ICU, and they're
yep,
taking people out in body
yep,
bags.
yep. I'm watching it happen as I'm watching, you know, Transformers or
You know what? The transformer thing is pretty on point because I mean, I am a firm believer in an afterlife. So I do like that analogy of people that have moved on and they are no longer needing that body, but still, as somebody who's still here of this earth, okay, you're watching this happen like, wow, another one, and
yep.
another one. And they,
It was
it,
every day. I was in that ICU for 8 days. It was every day. Doctor comes in one day, and I said, "Hey, what is going on with my chest?" And she said, "Well, maybe it's because you had a 140-pound nurse on you giving you CPR.
uh,
Cracked my ribs."
And no one at that time had told you you'd been resuscitated, you'd been brought back, your heart had stopped.
Stop. Yep. And I was gone for a little over 3 minutes. Yep.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. And they put, and the other thing is there's like I could see like like I don't know why, but I just, now I'm like, oh, well, duh, I should have noticed. But there was like a needle hole in my chest, kind of like, right. It's from the epinephrine they jabbed me with.
Oh, they shot your heart with the epi.
Yep.
Wow, you had the full treatment, man.
I did. I was gone. I died. And
And
I came back.
And was that when the man came to you and took your hand, the handsome man?
I don't know. I nobody's seen him. Nobody knows who I was talking about. Nobody at all.
I wonder who that is. I wonder if that's your spirit guide. That's your spirit. I do believe in spirit.
Angel?
Your guardian angel. Yeah, I do believe that okay, just so you know, I am obsessed with near-death experiences. In fact, I should probably do that podcast because somebody's already got that covered. That is my bedtime story every night. I listen to. I'm just fascinated by it, and yeah, that's a lot of people talk about that. There's somebody assigned. They get lots of I don't know information while they're over there, and they say, yeah, we have somebody that. Everybody has one and sometimes more, but you have a handsome guardian angel, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd like to think they just keep all the handsome guys together. I don't know.
Well, I'm wondering, here's where I go, because I feel like my grandmother's one of my guardian angels. She died in a car accident, and I have had too many lucky like I have a lazy eye, I have ADHD, I'm a very distracted driver, and I get these wonderful little knowings to like, oops, better not go there. Don't change lanes. And I was one of my friends, Christy Buckley, who I interviewed on the 3rd episode. She was saying, I wonder if your grandma is your driving guardian angel. Like I got to give these. That's why I want to get a Tesla. Shout out. We're doing a lot of corporate shout outs, but I want to get a self-driving. I need to get a self-driving car because I have no depth perception and ADHD, but don't let my insurance company hear this. But here's what I was curious about. Did you ever look through pictures of like ancestors, grandfather, great-grandfather? Does there anybody in your family who looks like that guy as a young man? No?
No. And my mom even asked me, like, was it your dad? And I'm like, no, it wasn't dad. Like, I just, like, no.
Nobody you recognize from your family. No. Okay, I was just curious. Wow, but but this knowing, and it was like, okay, and part of your psyche heard it and started breathing hard, like you got to work at this.
Yeah. Oh, and then that's the thing. I was told, like, I had extensive lung damage based on the respiratory failure and everything. Like they asked me if I smoked cigarettes. I said nope, and like, and that's the thing. Okay, like this is where the bit comes in. They asked me if I smoked cigarettes. I said no, I didn't. Which I don't. Okay. But they didn't, they're like, good, because if you smoke, your risk for COPD is like really up there. And, it's right now you're looking at like, you're not even going to leave the hospital without oxygen. I'm like, what? And I'm like, wait, hold on. Smoke anything? And then that's, like I popped the crowd, man. Like the nurse that was in there and the doctor at the time, they started laughing. They're like, okay, all right. And I was like, sincerely? And they're like, yeah, no, you can't smoke. And that was the closest time. I'm like, sincerely, that was the time that I literally came the closest to like crying. I'd been through a lot. And that one boy, like, really, I can't smoke weed anymore?
Oh, because that's been a friend of yours. Yeah.
My emotional support weed. Yeah, that's right.
Your emotional support weed. So that was like, oh no, that's my friend.
Yeah, so
but that's what made them laugh when you said, wait, smoke anything?
Yep. Yeah. And I popped them. And that's it, which is funny because I do use that as a bit. And at that part, always makes people laugh, because they figure it, uh but now I do both on stage say, and both off stage do, I eat my weed now. So I do get edibles, gummies, make the butter. I do whatever I can, so but it's legal now, so I'm able to say this and not have any ramifications.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but yeah, but that's part of my. That's now a bit. I tell a little bit of the story there. Also do a little bit of with the helicopter ride. I basically say like I'm pretty sure that I joined the Mile High Club. I don't know. I was unconscious, but I do know that the that chopper was a rocking, and these boots, I assume, were a knocking. I throw that one in there.
Yeah,
I make
doing
sure.
the traumedy on your
Yep,
trauma.
there it is.
I
Yeah, I
love
can see
that.
the one thing I will say. I I was not supposed to leave that hospital without oxygen. They told me flat out that it was impossible. I was still on the high liter oxygen the last day, and I basically told them, I said, take it off of me, and they're like, we can't do that. And I said, no, take it off of me. I don't want it. So they did, and not only did I make it above 90, but I was at like 95 without it, 96. Like I willed myself to breathe, and I willed myself to have that. I know that happened, and that's that right there. Like I don't know. I was not gonna leave that hospital with oxygen on me.
All this is where I am fascinated. Everybody I talk to, almost everybody, I ask them like, do you feel this was for the highest good? This experience that you had.
Oh, okay. I don't want to go through all that pain again, but I'm glad it happened. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That's it. I absolutely understand and I agree. The same for me. I do not wish it on anyone. I don't want to do it again, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because it makes you who you are today, and I trust it. I trust my path.
That's the cool part. Is that I don't want to like talk about myself in two different people, but the John Olson that's talking to you right now, the John Olson that's outperforming now, I'm both a different performer because I kind of like chilled out on stage. I have kind of a different persona um than what I did before. I use some of the same material, but which is kind of cool because I'm like two different comedians using the same material. I know like every comic that hears this can be like, "Oh, that's, like we don't need none of that garbage or whatever." You know what I mean? Like, but I'm talking about it's myself though. Like I wrote it, it's mine. But it's like hearing it before and me performing it now, it's like two different people, and that's the cool thing about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um,
Well, and they talk about post-traumatic growth that we do grow. And I think once you've been to the brink and you went past the brink of death. You died for 2 to 3 minutes. I
yeah,
mean, put stand up in perspective because a lot of us are terrified on stage and we can't always access our whole self because a lot of times when we start comedy, we are looking for approval. But then it's like, you know what? Doesn't matter. Like, there's that part doesn't matter. Let me just share my, my gift. Let me just share my gift. Let me share some laughs. Let me lift these people up. Sometimes that's the way comedy for me shifted about, I don't know, 10 or 15 years into it, where I went from seeking approval to giving the gift of laughter. Really, like, I hope this is for the highest good. I hope people laugh. I hope they have a good time tonight. I hope people leave feeling better than when they walked in.
yep. And that's the thing. Like I'm not. It's kind of crazy. I'm not the biggest people person in the world. Like I'm not. Maybe there's a good chance that somebody out there is gonna like come to a show. They're gonna see me perform. They're gonna laugh, and then maybe they're on the same path that I once was. That laughter that I'm supplying them for that, 30, 45 minutes of that time is, going to suffice them for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, give them the relief from the pain, because it actually boosts your endogenous morphine, which is a natural painkiller in your brain when you laugh. So you're going to get them relief from the pain, distract them if nothing else, and inspire them. Like, okay, if this guy can laugh at that, then I can laugh at my stuff. That's what we're doing. This is exactly what I want to do with this podcast, is show people if you can find that perspective, because humor gives you that bigger perspective on things and reframe your experience and just know you can get through it. The other thing, QuikTrip, I was just going to say, maybe why not approach QuikTrip about doing a QuikTrip tour? Like, there's QuikTrips everywhere. You could do the QuikTrip tour, sharing that story and how it like grounded you, even though you were in a helicopter, it grounded you to go, oh, there's QuikTrip, like the sense of normalcy. And
it's pretty awesome. Like, sometimes I get inspired by the goofiest things. I was legitimately probably minutes from death at that point too.
Yeah. You were about to take a quick trip into heaven.
Yeah, pretty much.
Onto the other side. Or wherever.
Hopefully it was heaven. Yeah.
Somewhere out there. Oh my God, I'm going to break into song. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your inspiration and your traumedy comedy.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
I want to thank my guest, John Olson. Reach out, connect with John on Facebook, John Olson Comedian 2.0. That's right, because it's the new version of John Olson. Also, his website is www.johnolsoncomedian.com. I want to thank my son, who helped me with this music. I want to thank my listeners for your support emotionally, psychologically, and financially. If you want to support the podcast, that is so welcome, because we would love to have, we being me, I would love to have an audio engineer. I think that would be so cool. Hey, if you have a story to tell, reach out to me at www.nancynorton.tv. That's .tv like television. Okay, thanks for listening. Have a great week. And remember, take your trauma, take your pain, and play with it.